All right, so I'll call this meeting of the Summit Waller Community Association to order for Tuesday, February 1st. And first item is the approval of meeting minutes, but since we do not have meeting minutes from January, we'll move on to the treasurer's report, which was sent out earlier this afternoon. And do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
And second?
I'll second. Angela seconds.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the treasurer's report. All in favor?
Aye.
And myself. Jen, how
Bob, I
about
have a
you?
question.
Oh, yeah, Larry?
Usually, Russell, I know we have five membership dues, I think he said.
Mhm.
He usually puts the names of those at the bottom. I'm wondering, I know I sent in my dues. I was just wondering whether he got them or not.
Yes, his notice did give the three of us that had paid our dues.
Okay, looks like Jen disappeared. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yay and 1 abstention, let's say. Okay, current business. Orange Gate Park, Mr. Larry Vollen reported 17 hours in December of volunteer hours.
Yeah,
And
that's, yeah, 17 hours. It's been a busy month. After the snowfall and started to clear away, and it got rainy for a while, and pretty soon that was all the garbage underneath was there. So it took quite a while to pick it up. We have had some incidents as well. We had 2 male teenagers spray paint signs on 3 trailhead signs on 80th Street, one at the corner of 80th and 50th Avenue, one pretty much right across the street from my house was the big blue sign with Artec, ARTECTEK. I kind of looked that up, and it's I guess Artec graffiti is a combination of art and technology, but I've heard from the neighbors that it's also could be gang related, means something entirely different. So, but the Parks Department was contacted. We know where one of the boys lives. We have an eyewitness saw one of the male teenagers toss spray paint can off to the side as he was leaving the trailhead, the one across the street from my house. So it was my neighbor. The Parks Department was contacted at Steve Dippery, and he indicated to me that with the information that we provided, that he'll be in contact with the Pierce County Sheriff's Department, and hopefully a Pierce County Sheriff will go by and have a chat with the parents of this teenager. We don't know where the other teenager lives, other than we know that it's in the area. And I'd like to credit Neighborhood Watch, the Fairview Neighborhood Watch people, for helping with the investigation as to where one of the boys at least lives. Also on 50th Avenue, just south of the intersection of 80th and 80th Street East and 50th Avenue East, there's a green Comcast Alpha box that was vandalized maybe a couple of months ago. And I've encouraged Steve Dippery, when he talks to the Pierce County Sheriff, that maybe the sheriff deputy can ask these 2 males, teenagers, whether they might be involved with that as well. Today, the county crews were out weed whacking with a big machine around the perimeter of Orange Gate. They've been doing that for the last week or so off and on, and it's starting to look really nice. Of course, it's uncovered more garbage. And but that's all been picked up. And today, the graffiti was removed from all of the signs. I didn't actually see the county parks department getting rid of it, but after we got back home from going to the YMCA for a workout, the graffiti was gone. However, these two teenagers also tagged several trees in the park, and that has not been removed, and I intend to remove that tomorrow. So we'll get it all taken care of. The other thing is that I got a report from Scott Bird that there's a refrigerator in the park, an abandoned refrigerator, and it's where Pipeline Road and the high pressure gas line intersect with each other. And so yesterday I went to investigate that, and sure enough, the refrigerator is there. I've alerted Steve Dippery about that. And Scott Bird also said there's a lot of aluminum beer cans by where the East Fork of the Clear Creek goes underneath Pipeline Maintenance Road. I checked that out, and sure enough, there were a lot of, especially Rainier beer cans there. It took me a couple hours to get all of those beer cans and bottles and other garbage picked up. So we're going to kind of have to monitor that, especially as things get drier. And there's a couple of trails that go back down underneath all that trees and brush that's down there, and it's pretty secluded spots just north of where the creek goes underneath the Pipeline Maintenance Road. And lastly, my wife and I are going to be on vacation to Florida to visit grandkids the middle of this month for about 9 or 10 days. And I really need some help with maybe some of you to come by and pick up garbage and litter along the streets bordering Orange Gate while I'm away. I will also let the Parks Department know that we'll be away. They do a pretty good job of picking up the big stuff along 84th. But whenever I go out, I always seem to pick up a pretty good sizable amount of the smaller stuff. And you can either take it home and put it in your own garbage and recycle aluminum cans or bottles yourself, or you can put them in a bag by the double arrow sign at 84th Street and 46th Avenue. The last 3 times we've had recycling toters, my recycling toters have been filled to the brim. That's a 90-gallon recycle toter, and a lot of aluminum cans. And I guess they don't like your aluminum cans crushed anymore. They like them to be as full as possible, which creates a bigger bag for me to carry around. And like yesterday, I had to take my truck around to pick up recyclables that I'd stashed along the way. So, you know, it's just an ongoing thing, kind of like I equate it to a custodian cleaning up after lunches at school. The next day, there's just going to be more to pick up. With that, I think I'm done. Bob?
Okay, thank you. Now, oh shoot. I've got multiple emails I should just print out. After our last meeting, I contacted county parks about our questions regarding the agreement for being stewards. And let's see. Nope. And
While you're thinking there, Bob,
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that there were a couple of trees that went down
There you
over
go.
the trails,
mhm.
and those since have been cleared out. And I'm not sure if it's somebody I know, but I'm pretty sure it's not the Parks Department that chainsawed those up.
Yeah. Okay, so one of our questions last month was in regard to if we were working with another organization, for example, Jen's church. And what Parks Department is saying is that what should happen is that both organizations should have their own stewardship agreement, and then we could coordinate any activities between the two organizations. That'd be the best way to go about it. In regard to using an electric string trimmer, Larry, it is considered a power tool, but if there are areas that would need it, would require it, what they would have to do is go through risk management for approval, and it would be tied to specific stewards only. So, you know, you couldn't be approved to do it and then we'd have somebody else do it. Only the people who are approved would be allowed to do it. The hold harmless agreements would be just once a year. We'd send them the copies so they'd hold them on file. And then for a total number of hours, if we had a group event and say 5 people were there for 4 hours, that's 20 hours. It's how many hours for each person. So the minimum is 24 hours a year. That'd be very easy for us to cover. I think, Larry, you've probably got that easily in 2 months, let alone what any of the rest of us do. And I think that would just work, that I could hold on to a spreadsheet and enter everybody's hours as they get submitted, submit it to the Parks Department once a year, and that should take care of their requirement for participation. And that was our questions. So let's see.
Bob, I'm not sure how other board members feel, but it seems to me like because of liability issues, it's become almost prohibitive for groups like ourselves to help Pierce County Parks with their parks. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say, let's just continue with what we're doing right now and screw the stewardship contract. It's just too prohibitive. You know, people take their motorcycles into the park, and that's a liability issue that, I don't know. There's no park police. People go in there and do illegal things. They could get hurt. That's a liability issue, but they don't have a stewardship contract. You know, I think this stewardship contract is starting to seem like it's so prohibitive as to what we can do, and all the paperwork we have to keep track of, and all the approvals we have to get before we can do anything. It's like you can't do anything on a spur of the moment.
Yeah. I got a comment.
I think Gabe had his hand up first, though.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, I do understand that frustration as well. It's kind of like the High Point Center. They've always been able to do the horses, so they want to be able to continue to do whatever they wanted to do. But when you get a bunch of people doing their own idea what the park should be, you end up with a mess. If you know, you're not going to mess with the park, but based on the plan that they're trying to put forward, they have to make sure they have to contain it to at least some cohesive type of idea of who gets to do what in the park and when. So I get the reasons, and yeah, the people that are riding motorcycles and doing other things in the bushes, that's legality versus liability. So I think that's the difference between the two. So if you go out with a weed whacker, with or without your stewardship approval, you're still doing something that's against, I don't know what code or violation it would be, but you know, you're still doing something that's not authorized in the park. That's what it comes down to. It prevents other people from going in and just going, well, I think this would make good firewood, and just chop it down. Oh no, I'm clearing trees. So that's my take.
Yeah, well, I agree
Wait, a
with,
minute, Dan was next, and then we can go to you, Don.
Well, just want to give you a little information if I could. There's a very strong law in the state of Washington that's vigorously enforced. I've seen it many times. It's, I forget the name of it, but it's called the Recreational Statute. If you go into open space, private open space, public open space, public park, if you are injured, you're on your own. There's no liability for anybody going into a public park, private open space, public open space. If you break your neck, you fall off a cliff, you trip and fall on a trail, no matter what happens, there's no liability. Unless it is an improved mechanism on the property, such as a well that should have been covered, if somebody falls into it, where they build some structure, a bridge, and the bridge collapses and you're injured, there's liability there. But if you go out into a public park like Orange Gate, Swan Creek, or private or public open space of any kind in the state of Washington, if you're injured or killed, there is no liability. There's sovereign immunity on that by state statute.
Don?
yeah, I agree with what Larry says, that it's not worth the effort to go in and pick daisies for the park when there's other more constructive activities could be carried on.
A comment
Okay,
on
well,
that.
are you then suggesting that we do activities that the park does not want us to be doing?
Oh, I didn't say that. That's up to the individual.
Yeah, Dan.
You know, I don't want you folks to be disappointed, but if you do approach risk management and sign a waiver, you can go in there and use your weed cutter. It's not that big of a deal.
But you couldn't use a chainsaw.
I can't speak to that, but you approach risk management and they will probably give you a waiver. The reason they don't want you to use a chainsaw is they don't want somebody to go out there making independent decisions on what tree is cut down and what tree is not cut down. That's something they don't want somebody out there running amok with a chainsaw.
And, you know, I know in the past, the Parks Department has been slow about responding, but they do have a little more money. They've got a few more employees now, and, you know, they're better about responding to those kinds of things if you give them an opportunity. But, I mean, it's not something that we have to do. It's something that the Parks Department's approach us about. So, I mean, are there any strong feelings towards entering into an agreement with them?
Well, I'd just like to say that well, I'm not sure. It sounds to me like if we do a stewardship thing and I see that they're not maintaining clearing the entrances to trailheads, and so I go ahead and do it with a battery powered weed whacker instead of using a SI. A SI would be, of course, easier to have a problem with than a weed whacker, and I get hurt, then I'm in trouble. But with the Parks Department, if we have a stewardship agreement, But if I go in there with my weed whacker and we have no stewardship agreement, then like Dan says, I'm on my own. So I don't know. And we can go ahead and do the stewardship agreement, but seems to me like the Parks Department, unless you call them for particular situation, about all they do is come by and pick up the garbage that are along the big pieces along 84th Street in each morning. Sometimes Pierce County Response picks that stuff up too. But other than that, unless you have a specific big tree down over a trail, they'll come out and, or have somebody come out and saw it up or take graffiti off signs. Their presence around Orange Gate is very limited. I mean, we can go ahead and do the stewardship agreement, but if something needs to be taken care of, we'll take care of it.
I think if that's going to be if that's a feeling of the group, and I don't know if it is or not, but if it is, I think we're better off not entering into an agreement and then violating it. I would rather not do that.
Individuals can do their own stewardships too, right? They can apply.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Well, I would suggest you talk to the Parks Department contacts about those kind of concerns. That it seems like the stewardship agreement ties our hands to the point, liability wise, that it's going to make it very difficult for us to really help out to make the park better, cleaner, safer.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the 40 acres across the street from you look like when they're done with all their plans for that section too.
I got a comment.
Yeah.
It's really pretty simple. How many people want to work in the park? Larry Volan, who else? 2, 3. Okay, each of you folks can go and sign a waiver with risk management, have prescribed duties and restrictions, and there you go. You don't have to encumber the whole association with your endeavors. It can be done individually, and you may have more flexibility that way too.
And I know with Metro Parks, there are people who have agreements like that, just as individuals.
Bob, I know, I'm sorry, I missed the Parks Department staff that came and talked about the importance of the agreement during was that the December meeting?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
I missed that part. I was late. I apologize for not hearing that. So are they just trying to do stewardship agreements with existing community groups for primarily a liability reason? Or is it for that, as Gabe mentioned, is it really to kind of make sure that there isn't any kind of rogue volunteers going out and chopping down trees and doing what they think is best for the park? Or is it both of those things?
I think it's probably a combination of both. And possibly a little bit of advocacy involved. If you have some sort of a formal ownership with what's going on, that maybe you'll advocate for the parks more.
Yeah. Okay.
At least that's my guess.
I mean, they need those kinds of groups to do that, because they don't have the staff. Like Larry said, they have minimal involvement with most of their parks because they have limited budget and staff, and parks doesn't get a lot of resources. So they're trying to get others to help, which I get. But if it becomes too restrictive that we can't really just go out there and have a cleanup day without background checks and forms and only types of certain equipment and certain amounts of people, I mean, yeah, we'll probably just end up doing something on our own anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so It's like, what was the stewardship agreement for? We're just gonna do what we're gonna do, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think maybe just informing the Parks Department that we have some individuals who would be interested, but as an organization, it's not something that we're going to take on at this time. And maybe sometime in the future, but not for now.
Well, make sure, Bob, that you clearly point out to them what our concerns are.
But Larry, I don't think that's going to change.
No, I know that just, but if we say the Summit Community Association as a group doesn't appear to be wanting to get into a stewardship agreement with Pierce County Parks and Recreation, I think there should be a pretty good list of reasons why. And that's where the concerns would come in.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, moving on, let's see. Now I go back to looking at my email. The goals and plans for 2022. And we have that nice short list that Angela had sent out. And Gabe, do you have that available to put up on the screen, or should I share my screen?
I have too many things up with client stuff on there. I can't share.
Okay,
Yep, sorry.
well, that's fine. Let's see here. So, let's see. If you want to allow screen sharing, and I'll put up the list.
Yeah, the only feedback I got in writing was from Larry, Gabe, and Jen didn't have any comments.
Mhm.
Larry had adding one, and then Gabe had one as well. Let's see if I can pull that up. Yeah, so couple of additions to the list.
Okay. So let's see, starting off with the first one, continuing to advocate for the rural separator preservation. That sort of relates to one that I've spoken with Dan about. And let's see here. I think it's this tab. Yeah. So is that readable? Is that large enough?
No.
Okay,
No.
let's see. Okay, is that any better?
Yeah.
Right.
it
A little
is.
bit.
Okay, so this is in the master plan for the Mid-County Community Plan.
Mhm.
And in the implementing actions, at the very end of it, under land use, ensure the integrity of the rural separator through land use designations. Let's see, no, that's creating standards, promote compatibility with surrounding uses. And Dan and I've talked about how these things in here, they have not actually done. They're written down, but they haven't acted on them. And so this could be part of that protecting the rural separator, pushing for
Mhm.
getting this particular part of the implementing actions taken care of.
Mhm.
Oh, Dan, you're muted.
There we go. Can I comment, please?
Yeah, please.
Okay. The rural separator is, of course, it's a comprehensive plan issue, and it's a developmental regulation issue. There are some loose ends on all of that we need to tie up. There's no need to go through each individual one now because there are some that are yet undiscovered, but there's little things that should have been done, haven't been done. And I think I'd like to ferret those out over the next year or so, bring them to the board's attention. And then we've been actually invited by the county to bring anything that needs to be updated or clarified to their attention so that that can be taken care of. It's as simple as that. There's not much more that needs to be said about it other than there's some corrections and clarifications in the zoning code that pertains to our area that need to be looked at and corrected.
So not just well, it is just a general goal of continuing to advocate for the RCEP preservation acknowledgement, but it's also maybe transmitting some specific suggestions to the to Pierce County to change in the plan itself, the comp plan. Dan, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, there's some housekeeping. It's not a new policy or new thoughts or policies that we're advocating. There's some things in the plan that, if you will, mathematically don't add up to be 1 + 1 = 2. They're incorrectly stated. They're a housekeeping issue that needs to be taken care of.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Were you aware that Pierce County is going to be kicking off in March? They're going to be kicking off their update to the comprehensive plan, which I think is due in 2024. I think it's due in 2024. So they're going to be looking at the comp plan as a whole. I don't think they're going to be busting open the community plans because those were just done. But if there's anything in the comp plan itself that could tie back to what we're talking about, I'll let you know, because I'm actually going to be helping with that effort at the county. So
Yeah, Angela, if you could keep us up on that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Isn't that done every 2 years?
Actually, if you give me just a second, I can answer your question more thoroughly here.
Well, it's done periodically. We don't need to take up our time on that. I guess the bottom line is going into March, we need to take a look at it, and I'll be doing that and talking to Bob, and we'll be talking to you folks next month, probably.
Yep.
All right, so that's always going to be an ongoing one, advocating for the rural separator, and we've got some actions we can take. Waller Road curve area. Unfortunately, let's see, is Jen with us or did she disappear?
He's here.
She's still here.
Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. Jen, how are things with the curve?
Oh, I try not to get hit by cars on a daily basis.
Yeah. Other than re-engineering that piece of road, do you think there's anything else that they can do?
No, I think you've probably hit on it, and I don't think it's ever going to happen.
Okay.
The only thing I could see happening is that we are trying to create through sound transit and whatnot, you know, a community that relies more on public transportation. And there are quite a few people that use Waller Road walking and biking. And so if you could approach it from maybe a safety standpoint for, you know, pedestrian and biking access, maybe that might be a route to take, since it's, you know, it's not safe. But I don't know. Not quite sure where to go from here, I guess.
Okay, yeah, it still doesn't help people who live in your little area trying to safely get out onto the road either.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, how many letters have we written to the county now about Waller Road curve specifically? I can recall at least 2 or 3.
At least.
And they
And
continue
we
to
had
tell
the
us.
engineer's report.
Yeah.
And, you know, other than a permanent flashing warning sign, that was the extent of their action.
My screen.
but we still haven't. They did add the flashing light
Mhm.
northbound, but we've been asking for one southbound and they still haven't done that yet.
Right.
I
And we
know.
still have school kids out there with the buses, and that just doesn't seem to
Yeah.
concern anybody but the people who live there.
Jen,
Hmm.
have they installed a new light to light up the intersection of 48th and Waller Road on a new pole with a new light?
I don't
You
think
know?
so. I don't think so.
Okay.
So is this something that we want to continue working on?
Yeah, I
Well,
think,
yeah,
I think we should keep it on the
Okay.
list, and maybe we could either draft another letter or resend the letter that we've already sent before.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean, I do know, again, that the county's road budget is slim. It's tight, as in there's no extra money for anything other than what's already on the list. And
Mhm.
that means Waller Road's not on the list.
Mhm.
So, and I know Vickery isn't on the list, even though we've asked for those things. So it's really, if we want to make it happen, we really have to hound Marty Campbell,
Okay.
because he, they could do a supplemental budget request, but that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember, gosh, back before the pandemic and another year or more that the county roads department came before the Mid-County Advisory Commission saying, here are our priorities for improving roads in the area. What's your input? And so that's probably what they're still working off of. I haven't seen anything new since then.
Right. I wish we had a better sense of how many people use it to go back and use the Waller Road to just walk to as transportation, pedestrian, bike ride. But I have no idea what those numbers are.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, maybe the county would have a way, but okay, one of the things we'll need to do with these and, looking at our next meeting is maybe taking a few of these and discussing what our action plans could be for them going forward. The next item was additional street lighting. I think for the most part, we're good, but I think now would be a good time to bring in the Lidford Field issue.
Mhm.
And Angela, if you'd like to lead that one.
Sure. So I saw some comments. Well, I guess I've started looking back through the group and looking through some Facebook posts, and Lidford Field continually comes up as, hey, there's this going on there. We need more lights. Hey, this is happening there. Would it be nice to have some more lights? Hey, this is dark. We'd like to have some lights. And people have been asking, how do we get street lights around Lidford Park? And so again, it came up recently by a couple of members, and I thought I'd bring it up for us. I know that we haven't really talked about putting together a list like we normally do every year. But I thought maybe in 2022, we could focus on the Lidford Field area as for our street light request that we would typically do with council. So there's just been some people during the snowstorm parked their car there because they couldn't park in their driveways. They wanted to park on that kind of flat spot where they could easily get in and out. And there were a couple cars that were broken into. And then there's apparently a place along there where kids wait for the bus and it's not well lit. And then we had the recent, maybe a few months ago, we had a couple of members also ask about the limiting parking on 60th Street East, and trying to limit that. So I thought maybe it just might be good for the board to if we wanted to, again, put forth a list of streetlight requests, if we could maybe focus that on Lidford Field this year. I kind of spent some time looking on Google Earth from the street view, and there aren't a lot of poles along that parking strip, you know, on 44th, right? 44th. So, but even if we could get one light in there as a interim measure, that would be better than nothing. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I
would-
oh, sorry. I've been doing the raise the hand thing. Sorry,
Yeah,
Larry.
Gabe?
So the corner that they're really specifically about is the 44th Avenue East and 60th.
Mhm.
That's the corner of the park. Because the road drops down there, like you said, it's people going to during icy weather, they'll park up there so they don't have to go down the hills and get out.
Mhm.
Plus, that's where all the kids from that tract of homes walk up to catch the bus on 44th.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it's super dark there in the morning in the winter.
Yeah.
Plus now we have the park, the playground equipment that it's almost
Mhm.
finished.
Mhm.
I think it's probably a pretty easy push to get at least a light at that corner. But yeah, you're right. I think they have to put another pole though.
Mhm.
That's gonna be the biggest part.
Yeah. Because there is a pole on the corner of 60th and 44th. It's pretty full, but then there's another kind of support pole like midway down. Sorry, of course, what did I say at the beginning of the meeting? The dog barks.
Those dogs.
Someone's here. I'll be sorry, guys. I'll be right.
Okay, while she's gone, I would like to just point out that I don't believe any of our streetlight requests from the last list that we sent, and I think that was a year ago. None of those have been put up that I know of. So the county is really slow in responding to, even though I've been told that has been approved. The county's been really, really slow in working with Tacoma Power to get streetlights that have been approved up. I can get a hold of Marty Campbell's office with Chelsea tomorrow or the next day and check out, see where that is. And maybe I'll take a drive down by Lidford again and just see what poles, because they prefer, of course, to have the streetlights put on existing utility poles.
I can pull that up for you. I
That-
actually have it on my screen if you want me to show you.
Okay,
I can make sure I get the right screen without have to watch client data. All right, so everyone see the street corner?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so you got
Yeah.
the one pole, I think Angela was talking about, it's pretty busy. There's just a
Yep.
support pole behind the
Mhm.
dead end sign and then spinning around. You got one a little bit further off, and that's it's kind of stuck in the sun, but there you go. You got that one that's closer, but there is a light there. I don't know if it's actually working or not. And then going back the other direction, I mean, there's poles adjacent to it, but there's nothing right at the corner on top of this is the area.
Yeah, and there's that other support pole there, kind of mid block that I was
Yeah.
talking about right there.
So you've got the support pole and then you have the,
Mhm.
well, I don't know, it looks like there's power to that one too, though. So that
are
might
there
be
any
a good
streetlights?
option.
Are there any streetlights that they want on the south side of Lidford Field on 60th Street?
They're specifically talking about this corner because this is where all the kids meet right here for,
Oh,
not
okay.
meet, but they all wait for the bus there.
Mhm.
How many numerically is typical of the group? Because I think that's a safety factor that should have been addressed long time ago.
I'm not sure about the number, but when I do go by and they're waiting, there's usually at least 6. And they all come from down that 60th Street Road. They walk up there and they all come up to the spot.
Mhm.
So I mean, that pole might be,
That's a little,
it's pretty busy with the transformer on it, but this is probably the other likely pole, which would be that support pole, but it does have power to it, which was running to the old
yeah,
Hmm.
that guy
snack
pole,
shack.
that guy pole right there would probably be good if the kids and the bus stop were to be moved down there. That looks like a possible candidate.
Yeah. So those are just around that corner there. That's where those are. The only other light, sorry, I'm going to jump you around again, but it's just the next street up here is, oops, a little bit farther. That's the 58th Street Court, which is our 60th Court, which is just that other corner. There is a light here, but I don't even know if it's functional or not.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a pretty crowded pole.
Yeah, but that light's on the opposite side from where they need it anyways, but I don't recall there actually being light there either. Because I'm on 44th, so
Yeah.
it's my neck of woods. Okay, so
That
I'll stop
pole's
sharing.
even more crowded than, that pole's even more crowded than the pole at 48th and Waller Road that was
Mhm.
rejected.
Yeah.
So much stuff on.
Okay, so that was just a illustration of what that corner looks like for everyone.
Okay, so we can advocate for that. Larry, I'm kind of curious, what were the locations that we submitted they haven't put in, if you remember roughly?
There was two more additional ones around Orange Gate, one on 80th and 47th, another one on 84th. There was one that was to be put up going into Daffodil Estates on 84th Street, just east of Canyon Road.
Mhm.
I believe there was one. I know that there was another one. I just can't remember.
No,
Oh,
okay.
there we
Oh,
go.
there it is. Thank you.
Vickery intersections.
No.
Oh, no, that's just
Oh,
what we
Vickery.
discussed.
Yeah, and all of those supposedly were approved, and that was in 2020 that was submitted. And I was told that those were approved. Wow. Yeah, 84th and 57th, that's Daffodil Estates. 47th, 80th, that's Orange Gate, Vickery and 88th, Vickery and 92nd. Okay. Yeah. And then 48th Avenue and 96th. Yeah, that's leading into where Russell Reed lives. That dead ends at the south end of Orange Gate Park. But that street runs all the way from Orange Gate Park, 48th Avenue runs all the way from Orange Gate Park all the way out to 104th. And so that's why we thought a street light there. And then we suggested that a street light at the intersection of 48th Street and Waller Road East. And we had all of our rationale there and requested a new utility pole be put up with a street light on it.
This was in 2020. Larry, do you recall if these were approved by the council, or were they
I
approved by
believe-
Marty to add to the budget?
I think Chelsea told me that they were approved by the council, but I can, in my conversation with her or Marty in the next day or two, I will reemphasize, get some clarification on that.
Okay.
You know, the other as far as curves are concerned, you know, just down the street from you, Bob, the big, 72nd S curves, that's all dark. Going around those S curves, and of course, we've had some fatalities there. I don't know, should the Waller Road Community Association request future lighting of that S curve?
I'll have to take a look at it again. I don't recall. I don't remember it being all that dark. I do know that they put in some warning lights now along with the curve ahead signs. So the county has taken some action to try to get people's attention.
A flashing 35 mile/hour sign would be great, because if you're going fast, that you're taking it on your own risk. So
Yeah.
that in my mind, if you're gonna be an idiot and drive 60 miles an hour down that road, well, sorry, but you get what you're coming, you get what you get.
Well, and I think what really kicked it in was the kid who was driving at an incredibly high rate of speed and could not make the corner and killed himself and his passenger. Because other than that, I can't really think of any collisions, wrecks down there because of speed. But it's something that the county's been doing.
If it hadn't been for some trees, that car would have ended up in those people's house.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I guess Larry, then you'll ask about the status of the light request from June of 2020.
Okay.
And then,
And then are we going to consider one for in and around Lidford Field for 2022?
yeah, I'd say we ought to
Okay.
put an inquiry into the possibility, and especially making the case that you do have students waiting for the bus during the dark, in the dark. And that alone should justify getting a light in there.
Okay.
I'll talk to Chelsea or Marty about that and find out from them when we should send that request in.
Okay.
And maybe, I don't know if Puyallup School District would want to get involved with that or not, advocating
That's a
for it.
Good point.
Okay, let's see, continue to work with Pierce County Council, County Code Enforcement, Waller Road Neighborhood Action Watch to resolve and eliminate nuisance properties. Do we have anything active going on right now? Oh, that's something that's kind of on a case-by-case basis when it comes up.
Yeah, it is.
So, I mean, one thing we could do is take these and sort them between action items and when, on an occurrence type of thing. Let's see, adopt the road litter cleanup. That
Yeah,
seems to
just
be
spring.
going well. That's something that's an ongoing. Continue care for Orange Gate via removing litter, trail maintenance. And I kind of think, as much as anything else, the purpose of having some sort of formal stewardship agreement is communication, so that when you're, like Larry, when you're out picking up garbage, if you see something that's not right, something out of the ordinary, you know who to contact about it. Just having eyes on the place, since they can't be all the time. I mean, that could be, we don't need to do the stewardship thing to, continue doing what we're already doing right now. So should we go ahead and leave that on?
The continuing to care for Orange Gate Park.
Yeah,
Goal. Yeah. I think we should leave that on there, but the one after it that says negotiate and execute stewardship agreement with
remove.
Pierce County Parks, we can
Delete.
take that one off.
Okay.
So, and I'll send out a revised list after the meeting today too.
and then the last one was participate and provide feedback during stakeholder outreach process for the Orange Gate Master Park Plan update and pipeline trail project. I mean, they've got their master plan, but it's still, a work in progress, I believe. I think pipeline, maybe they're still working on the on agreements for where they can actually route it. I
Mhm.
think otherwise they've probably got what their plan is.
Yeah, I think this one was just mostly for us to be actively tracking progress and making sure that the community's input is given where it's solicited. And also I know that, specifically like for the dog park design, we had Dawn that was interested in participating in that effort. So I know that the county sometimes, not always, will form a team to really kind of dive into the weeds on what a specific element should look like in a park. So if we could tie ourselves into that process, that's really what was trying to be conveyed in this last bullet on the goals. So.
Okay, so maybe instead of, since we already have the providing feedback, which is an action statement, continue to track and provide feedback.
Okay.
Okay, so then there were two other submissions.
There were, and those, Larry suggested adding to lobby Pierce County Council and the Pierce County Executive to adopt a countywide anti-litter campaign. And maybe considering having an in-person general membership and community meeting later this year. I vote for that, but I don't know if we'll ever be able to ever get back into that darn community center at this rate.
Yeah.
The community center is still closed.
I know.
They're not having their monthly neighborhood watch meetings there still. The parking lot looks really great, although it's my understanding that there's still less parking available for the community center. The road in and out is wider to accommodate the buses that swing through that parking lot a couple times a day. Maybe it's 3 times a day. Not sure. But and supposedly we're probably going to see more variants swing around. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to be able to have a community, a membership and community meeting in May.
Yeah, I don't think we are
No,
there at
I don't
this
know.
rate.
But if the opportunity presents itself, maybe we could put together a bigger meeting.
What
I don't
if though, because we could do an outdoor one, what if we did it under the play shed at Central Avenue Elementary?
Oh,
Huh? It's covered. It can rain all at once. And it's
Sure.
outside. And
As long as,
right now, I think it's groups of 500 or what's the outdoor? There's like an outdoor limit and then mask to be required or something. But I mean, we're outside. It's an option, maybe.
I like it.
and Don?
Yeah, I believe that there's a young lady on here that posted on the on our page regarding the Waller Grange and suggesting membership on that. Well, if she could get 160 responses, mostly favorable, why can we not do the same thing for a $20 membership for our own organization?
That's a great question, Don.
I mean,
No.
you got 14 pages of responses for one post.
I got a question. I received that letter from Kitty Looker. It was sent to me through you folks. And you're saying from that one Facebook, they got how many responses?
160.
160 responses, and how many people were joining?
I don't know what that's on their agenda is a discussion of the Waller Road Grange, which we're pretty close to getting to.
Okay. Is that on the agenda tonight?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. We'll get there. Yeah.
We're almost there.
I added a goal. It just said continue to disseminate information and updates to Summit Waller residents. We'll do that by developing and distributing an annual newsletter. Maybe consider holding an annual meeting. We'll see. And then the last one I got, a suggestion was from Gabe. And I like this one, Gabe. Thank you. Add a method for supporting members to pay for annual dues online on the website. I vote for that. Sign me up. And then create a way to track supporting members, past and present, to track dues and improve communication. So kind of like a member roster that we can use. So when things come up, we have a way to communicate with them. So
Mhm.
I like those. Thank you. Mhm.
Yeah, another organization I'm a part of, we just have a spreadsheet where I've got everybody's name, contact information, and columns for the years where people paid dues. So we can track it that way. It's pretty simple.
Mhm.
You can just do it to where the unique identifier is the street address.
Yeah.
That doesn't change for local. I've got some information from Russell that I can start the process of getting a PayPal option for subscription.
Sweet.
And we'll have to talk about whether or not we want to absorb I think it's $2 or whatever it costs for, not even $2. I want to say it's like 50 cents or whatever per transaction
Transaction.
for $20.
Mhm.
I think it's about 50, 55 cents. Yeah. But if you get more, I mean, that's gonna wipe out that.
That's the less than the cost of a stamp.
Right. And also, it'd just be good to have a count, because we can answer questions like Nancy had in the chat: is how many members do we have? That would be nice to know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so assuming that we've gone through all of our goals for this year, updated. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong. I picked up the wrong agenda. So,
Hey, Bob,
yeah,
could I add one thing to the list, please?
you can try.
I will try. That we continue uncompleted projects. There are a lot of miscellaneous things that we're working on,
Mhm.
pentagram, pallet truck, different things, that we continue to work on the existing projects.
Specifically, what are you wanting to make sure we don't forget, Dan?
No specifics, just existing projects that there's too many to think about right now. Anything that we've worked on that we have in the pipeline that we should continue to work on those.
I think that was a given.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's.
Okay.
I would agree.
And maybe we can make a list of those as well, and then again, make them as action items. Okay. Then the new business, one item, the Waller Road Grange.
Yeah, so I'll introduce the topic and then we'll discuss openly. As Dawn mentioned, Rhonda, who's on tonight's meeting, kind of posted a call for action on the Facebook groups, saying that Waller Road Grange is in need of a younger generation of volunteers and asking for some support. And there was an overwhelming response to people that were interested. Now, that doesn't mean they have paid and they are actively helping at the Grange. But 100 and, some odd people said, yeah, I'm interested. Send me some information. I thought based on that call for action, I thought maybe there might be an opportunity for the two organizations, Waller Road Grange and Summit Waller Community Association, to help one another. Maybe we could help spread the word for their upcoming informational meeting in March. Maybe we could help volunteer for it. Maybe we could put some information about the Grange on our website if it's not already there. Maybe draw a little bit more attention to it. Just create a little bit some more synergies and collaboration between the two organizations, or maybe make a donation to the Grange. Any and all those things kind of popped in my head, and I thought that I'd bring them to the board so we could consider that. And maybe Rhonda can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yay!
Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about kind of the current situation the Grange is in, and then the March meeting that you guys are thinking about having.
Okay, so yeah, I really overwhelming response on that page. I totally wasn't expecting that. But what the plan is we're going to do an informational meeting in March, because a lot of people didn't even know they didn't know anything about the Grange. They didn't know they could even join the Grange. So we've got a state guy coming to talk. I'm thinking we're going to open the doors at 4, and I'm debating we may do like Sloppy Joe's or something, just kind of a social hour, whatever, from 4 to 5. Start that at 5. Hopefully be out of there by 6:30 or so. So that's kind of the plan. I agree with you. I think I was thinking about that because I think we have kind of a common mission in the community, but maybe, you're focused on a few different things than the Grange is. It's kind of different, but it would be great to be able to work together. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been talking to Kitty Looker, of course, you all know her. She's been around for 100 years almost. And I got the letter from her, and I've known her for a really long time. So I just called her, and I went to their last meeting, and there was 5 people there besides me. So I'm like, well, what's going on? So I said, well, let me try this social media thing and see what we can do. So that's where I just said, let me put something out there. I'll use, kind of just look out there and see if we can find anyone that wants to join. And apparently there are. So that's kind of the plan. I haven't put it out because the Grange is having an actual general meeting. I guess next Wednesday. I'm going to be out of town, so I'm not going to be able to be there. But I want to make sure, and I'm sure they're on board with it. Kitty's on board with it. And I kind of talked about it last month when I was at the meeting, but I just want to run it past them, all my ideas, and make sure everybody's on board with it. And then I'll put it out and see. And hey, if you want to come volunteer to help get stuff ready, you're in, girl. So that's about all I have about it, I guess. If you have any questions.
Yeah, I think I'd hit you up on there about Kurt Schmidt. I think that's the name. He was, I think, the interim president in June last year. Actually went to an open house in June of last year. And so there was a call to getting some younger members in because everyone's aging out.
Right.
And trying to get more current into the times. And so I was just curious if they were still involved or if it's now a new leadership there.
Well, actually, they aren't involved, and they're not involved right now. And Tom Weston is the current president, but he doesn't want to be so much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all them guys just kind of want to pass the baton, they want to be done. I'm thinking, or not, at least not hold it, do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, right now they're not, and I don't know the whole situation, what happened with that, but so no, they're not involved right now. I tried to reach out to her on Facebook, but I never got an answer, so.
Thank you.
Rhonda, I have a question. Has Tom Weston been the president for like 30 years?
Maybe. I've been paying my dues to him at least for the last 20. So I'm guessing.
Well, I find this kind of interesting because we started our organization in 1993, and within the first 10 years, maybe less, in the 1990s or early 2000s,
Mhm.
when I was president of the Sunwater Community Association, I wrote a letter to Tom Weston suggesting that our two organizations have a closer relationship with each other and offered to have, we would set aside one of our 9 board seats for the Grange so that
Okay.
we would have a connection. Never heard back from him about that. So
Well,
it's
it's
kinda-
kind of like with the Facebook page that you were trying to find and it hasn't been updated. And, I mean, I think a lot of things just kind of have fell to the wayside and maybe it was like that 10 years ago. I don't know, because I wasn't involved. But I think we need to forget about what happened and start moving forward from here. And if, and hey, once we try to get this going and if we get members and we can have normal meetings, you guys are more than welcome to come and talk and try to get some people to your meetings too. I'm all about everybody working together. We all live in the same area.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. That's really refreshing news from my standpoint, because the Waller Road Grange is a great asset to the Waller Road community and has been for years. And I remember when you guys had your 4-H program and your
Mhm.
picnics and everything during the summertime. That was at the last weekend of July, and
July, yeah.
yeah, it was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, and everybody just kind of got too old to do it. And nobody stepped up and maybe they would have, they just didn't know how or didn't, because what I'm getting from Kitty Looker now is basically what they were doing is just sending out letters to current members. Well, if those current members wanted to be involved, they would be already,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you got to find new people to get involved, younger people that have way more energy.
Well, and Cindy Van Hooley was the one that really organized the display for the state fair. And of course, her parents have passed away, and her
Well,
brother Tim is.
Dave did
Go
that
ahead.
garden up there too with the school.
Yep.
Don?
But Cindy now lives in Rochester, and she's retired from the Puyallup School District, so he's given that up.
So don't they live in Dave's old house, the kids?
That's Tim Van Hooley lives there now.
Well, I'm gonna be knocking on his door.
Yeah. But Cindy Van Hooley, who was way more involved with the Grange, she's
Okay.
retired from, and she's down in Rochester. She has a nice 20 acre or 10 acre ranch down there now.
Larry, I think Don, did you have a question or something you want to add?
Yeah, I'm just curious, the way your post was worded was kind of a threat that if the membership wasn't increased, the letter was kind of insinuating that you were in a negative cash flow position and that the threat of a sale would result in
And being sold.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that the developers were interested in a property. Well, that's kind of an alert for the premise of ours in the rural separator. So my question is the organization in a negative cash flow?
So you know what, I can't really answer that, but not that I'm aware of. They still rent that place out 3 times a month. They still have cash. They don't have too many bills. But when I was at the meeting, they had a couple of people there that weren't with the Waller Road. I don't know if they were from the state or where they were from. But what they were saying is, hey, you need to get this Grange back up and going. Otherwise, they're gonna close it. They're not gonna have a Grange there.
Who is, when you say
I
they?
guess I mean the state Grange people.
Mm,
I
mhm.
can
Okay.
find out that more specifically, but I don't have all those kind of answers.
Yeah, well, if it comes under an umbrella of the Grange, but if you go to the legal papers that I could find, the property is owned by Waller Road Grange number 111. Now, your legal papers is going to probably include the dissolution of your organization if it had ever come to pass. You probably got a property valuation into the well $400,000 value. Supporters of it at this point in time, if you're threatening the loss of it, where is that 400,000 in sales going to go to? Is that going to go to the state group? Or are you going to pass it out to your membership? These are just the questions that pop up to me.
Well, I don't know, but I doubt if it's going to the members. It probably goes to the State Grange Association because the state is like, would run, they oversee it all.
Okay, no, that's.
I can find out for you. I'm hoping we don't get to that.
Right. No, I would like to attend this upcoming meeting. And as far as a personal position, depending on what I learn at the meeting, I would be willing to support it individually. But until these questions are answered, I think individual support from our group, and I can only speak for myself, would be an individual position.
Okay, well, that's a really good question, but I don't have the answer. So yeah, come, for sure, come and ask them that.
Dan?
Yeah, Bob, I'd like to put this Grange issue on our list of things that we're gonna do this year. Could we add that to the list, please?
So you're all coming to the meeting in March then, right?
Well, I got two questions. The first one is, can we put this issue of the Wallerwood Grange on our list of things to do for this year?
Yes.
Okay,
Doing it right now.
so do as in,
Inquiry to support.
Well, I think we need to investigate it and see what's going on, and we need to help them survive and grow. Number two, when's this meeting at the Grange?
I'm shooting for Saturday, March 12th.
That's the meeting. I thought you said something about a Wednesday meeting.
So they have the first and fourth Wednesday is the meeting of the Grange. This meeting I'm talking about is for what I want, all those people that responded to my Facebook. I want them to come when somebody besides, besides Tom Weston can speak to them all and explain all to them all exactly, what it is that they're, what the Grange does, what the requirements are, that they don't have to ride a goat. I don't know, just stuff. I don't want somebody to this is what I don't want. I don't want somebody to get up there and not know what they're talking about. That's what I don't want.
Well, were you going to have someone from the state organization at this meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's coming to speak at the meeting, and I don't have his name right in front of me. I have it in my kitchen, but
Next Wednesday or March 12th? Verify that.
March 12th. But next Wednesday, there is a Grange meeting, a general, just with Kitty and 3 other ladies and Tom and this vice president, and I don't know his name. And they should all be there. And that's the 9th at 7 o'clock.
What time is the March 12th meeting?
It's gonna be I'm gonna have them open the doors at 4 and the meetings start around 5. Because I'm thinking I might do sloppy joes. I might have food.
Hey, Sloppy Joe is food.
Just like sloppy joes and chips, because I thought about doing it during the week, but I know that I'm trying to get a younger crowd, so I know they have kids and homework and food, dinner to make and bedtime. And I thought if we did it on a Saturday afternoon, hopefully sports are done. And if I gave them a little food, they wouldn't be in a hurry to get home and cook dinner. And I don't know. I'm open for suggestions. I'm just trying to get it together. So if any of y'all got suggestions, I'm here to listen.
Well, I have a suggestion. I think that the Waller Road Grange and the Summit Waller Community Association should find what areas overlap and should join forces and should not become one organization, but become companion organizations.
I totally agree with that.
That's something that we tried to do before, back when the Grange was a little more in a healthy position. It was not accepted. Maybe we should try that again.
Yeah,
See what they say.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that's the only way I think we could be involved, is if we have a companion, united effort on areas that we overlap. I've always been fond of the Granges. They have the little, the old schoolhouse up there. The
Right.
participation at the Waller Road Fair. The fair they used to have up there at the Grange, I used to go there when I was just a kid, and it was great.
Yeah.
But things have kind of changed. People are out there, playing with their iPads and such and so forth.
I
They're not
know.
out farming in the garden as much as they used to. So
Right.
we need to maybe in our community try to provide a opportunity for people to get involved with that, such as the Franklin Pierce School District has the farm up there on 96 and Waller Road. That's
Right.
for kids to learn how to do stuff. On Vickery Road, there's that, what's the name of that farm up there? Somebody help me.
Large.
Yeah,
March.
I've seen that. That's really quite fantastic.
Yeah.
The Waller Road Grange, I think, should be activated and come alive and start doing things again.
I
And
totally agree with you. And I think we both
people
live in the
say-
same community and we should be
They're hungry for something to do outdoors.
community and family and stuff.
And so all you have to do is provide the opportunity and they will come.
Well, that's what we're trying to do.
Well, there you go.
Angela?
Yeah, quick question. Do we currently have a vacant board position or a vacant board alternative position that we could extend to the Waller Road Grange? You said
We don't.
we had invited them years ago, but they declined. Do we have space for someone with ties to the
We
Waller Road Grange to be on this board?
We currently
Larry?
have 9 plus 2 alternates, so we're full.
Okay.
I think the question should be, do we have somebody on our board or community that would want to be on the Grange's board to help them?
Yes. Well, that was my next question. Yeah.
Yeah. there you go.
Okay.
Think about that.
Mhm.
Let's put that on the list for next month to talk about too, if we could.
Okay.
And I have Angela's phone number stuff so we can kind of keep communicated.
Yep.
All right.
Well, thank you for the information you have provided.
I'm sorry you can't see me. I don't know what I did wrong.
It's okay. We can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so we'll continue with that one next month. Anybody
Bob, I
have
have a
any?
que-
Oh, yeah, Larry?
We have a few guests, and I don't think Nancy ever introduced herself. I don't know who Galaxy S20 FESG is.
Oh,
That's
that's my
Rhonda.
cell phone.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Forgot
She was trying to connect a couple of different ways in the beginning. So
Okay, right.
I'm Nancy Slotnick. I live over on 24th, just on the very boundary between Summit, Waller, and Midland. I happen to be running for county council against Marty Campbell. My husband's getting ready to call me for dinner, so I have to kind of cut this short and wrap things up. But just to introduce myself, and I came out partly because Rhonda posted the thing about the Grange, but been meaning to get a little more involved in the community association for quite some time, and it just, one of those that your newsletter comes and it sits on my counter. It's like, oh, I should get involved in that. So when I found out the meeting was tonight, I thought it was a good opportunity to come out and.
Okay, thanks for
Okay.
coming.
Thanks for joining us.
Any announcements? Good of the order.
I have some announcements. May I speak?
Yes, you may, Dan.
Oh, by the way, Ms. Slotnick, tell your husband hello. I
I
had a
sure
meeting-
will.
I had a meeting one time in his garage
Okay.
about the church behind you folks.
Oh, absolutely. I would have been at that meeting, and they're gone. They moved away.
Yeah, I was involved with that.
They sold that property, and we have a nice new family living there.
Yeah,
Been there for a few years now.
you folks sent me a gift in appreciation. It was a bunch of flower seeds, and I did plant those. Thank you.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, if I may continue. Canyon Rim, the decision on that will be coming down in, I should say on March the 10th. I'll let you folks know what it is, okay? I think it's
Okay.
gonna work out fine. We'll see what happens. The letter that Bob and I are working on, it's still in progress. Bob's wife went through that one CD video that we talked about, and it's being reduced down to something more manageable. And when it's done, we will ship it out to you guys via email to let you look at it and see if we can get your approval to ship it off to the county. Something else I want to discuss too, just briefly. In the future, when we're discussing things that are very sensitive, like litigation or things that are in discussion among our group, we should probably go into executive session. Gable, are you able to put us in executive session at any time that we need to go into executive session?
Oh, describe to me what that means.
Well, like the Pierce County Council, Metropolitan Park District, any board of directors, they're open to the public, as we are. But when they discuss something that is sensitive, that is like a litigation, like Wolf Canyon Rim, for example, or something else that might come up, the board has a right to go into executive session where they have their own little huddle. Then it's closed to public purview, and recording would be off. Do you have a way of turning the recording off and only allowing people who are on the board to have executive session?
Not with my account on Zoom. I don't have the ability to knock everyone into a breakout room, which is what you require for that.
Breakout room. You can't do that?
No, not with the account I have now.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think then we should be careful of what we discuss in those areas that are not in a breakout room in the future. That's all I have to say on that. Let's see, what else do I have on my list here?
Real good point, Dan. It's a
Excuse me?
real good point.
Yeah, I know that when we're meeting in person up there at the community center, we've had a number of study sessions or executive sessions. You may recall, Larry, over the years.
Yes.
And so is there a way to do it on Zoom? Gabe, does your account, is it expandable to accommodate something like that?
I'd have to sign up for the next tier up, and right now this is the only reason I have the account at all.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's cool.
I don't do Zoom anymore for my business meetings on the fly. I don't need this account, but I'm keeping it open for us. So
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not critical. If we ever discuss something that gets a little, into the area that's a little sensitive, I might throw up a red flag. That's all. I mean, that's just for your information. The last thing I want to say is to kind of reemphasize this issue about the Waller Road Grange. I would not want to see that place go by the wayside. I grew up around the Waller, not with the Grange. I wasn't involved with the Grange, but I grew up on Waller Road, went to Waller Road School, and they've been around for a long time. Kitty Looker, she has been like a rock in this community, very involved somebody said she's almost 100 years old. I don't know, but she's been around
90.
a long time and very involved. And I think that group needs to be assisted. So let's keep that on the front burner if we can. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Oh, Dan,
Yes.
have we had a response from the tribe yet?
No, we have not. That doesn't mean much. Let me ask a question. Has anybody checked our mail? My cats are fighting. I'm sorry. Got crazy.
I'll remind you, there are two keys and two people have those keys. Russell has a key and Bob has a key.
Has
So they're
anybody
the ones that,
checked the email lately? Okay, well, let me say this. Last time we talked, I was going to write a letter to Bob on a letterhead and have him sign it saying that I would also have the ability to check the box. I haven't done that yet. I'm up there almost 2 or 3 times a week because I have the box like right next to it, okay? And I like to be able to see what incoming mail there is and make sure it's delivered to Bob or to Russell or whatever. So I'm going to work on that. But to answer your
Okay.
question, Jen, we haven't received a response from the tribe yet.
All right,
But I think
that we know of,
how's that?
that we know of.
That we know, but I think it's important to remember just giving them the information is
Right.
important. And
I
letting
was just
them-
curious.
Huh?
I was just curious.
Okay, thank you.
on a slightly different note, I received an email from the Secretary of State's Office for Corporations and Charity Division. It's time for our community association to renew itself. And so I forwarded that email to both Russell and Bob. And Bob, what have we decided to do about it? Okay, I think Bob's confused there. Bob's going to check into, supposedly I'm the registered agent right now, and the registered agent should probably be the association's president or its treasurer. Bob, you're muted, so you're going to need to unmute.
There. That's why I put the inquiry to the Secretary of State's office about is, should it be the president or should it be the treasurer of the organization or the secretary? If they have somebody that they prefer, or if it can be any one of the officers.
Yeah, Russell has renewed our association through the state the last 4 years, and so. But it looks like they've come up with something a new twist, and so we're going to have to work that out.
Mhm.
We have till the end of March, I guess, to do that.
Yeah, what it is they're going through a transition to a different system. They've done it already for the charities. They don't have it implemented yet for corporations. And so then once that happens, you'll again be all online. But for now, people are having to do things on paper. Okay,
And
any
is it
other
still
now?
just $10? Is it still just $10 to renew a year?
I didn't see anything about that.
Okay.
That would be on whatever form's been received. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second,
Been moved in multiple seconds that we adjourn. All in favor?
aye.
I
See you next month.
See you next time, boys.
Thanks for joining.